Hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to my channel. I'm hosting podcast episode. I'm so glad to have you here with me today. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've been following along for a while, I want to start by saying something really important. This topic, why you don't need to speak like a native speaker to communicate effectively. And today, I'm going to talk about why that's true, how we can let go of the fear of speaking perfectly, and the 5 steps I used to communicate with much more perfectly. So, and how I can be here to help you every step of the way. So grab a cup of tea, relax, and let's dive into this journey together. Okay, let's get started with a question that I think many of you have probably asked yourselves at some point. Why do I feel the pressure to speak like a native speaker? The truth is, this is something that many language learners struggle with. We live in a world where we are constantly exposed to the ideal way of speaking a language. For example, when we watch movies, TV shows, or listen to podcasts, we often hear fluent speakers who sound flawless. Naturally, we start to think, I want to sound just like them. But here's the problem with that. When we focus on trying to sound perfect, we risk getting stuck. We stop speaking out of fear that we'll make mistakes, or we might even give up altogether because we think we'll never sound like a native speaker. But I'm here to tell you that you don't need to speak like a native speaker. You really don't. The most important thing is to be able to communicate your thoughts clearly, connect with others, and be understood. And you can do that no matter what your accent sounds like or how perfect your grammar is. If you're learning a language, it's natural to make mistakes. That's how we all learn. Every mistake is a step forward. So let's take the pressure off ourselves and start focusing on what really matters: connection. Let's take a moment to think about what communication actually means. Communication is more than just speaking the correct words. It's about sharing ideas, feelings, and experiences with others. It's about making connections. When you speak to someone, what's most important? Is it how perfect your pronunciation is? Or is it whether or not you can express yourself in a way that they understand? For example, imagine you're talking to someone in English and you say, I want go to park. Even though it's not grammatically perfect, the other person will still understand what you mean. And in fact, they'll probably appreciate that you're trying to communicate in their language. You might even laugh together about the small mistake, which can actually help strengthen the connection. So when you stop focusing on perfection, you start to really focus on the purpose of language, connecting with people, sharing ideas, and being understood. And let me tell you, there's nothing more important than that. I know it can be hard to let go of the idea that you need to sound perfect, but I promise you, it's not about being perfect. It's about being human, and humans make mistakes, and that's okay. Now, I want to share a little bit about my own experience with language learning. As someone who has learned different languages throughout my life, I can tell you there were many times I felt self-conscious about how I sounded. For a long time, I thought that unless I could speak like a native, I wouldn't be able to connect with others or be taken seriously. I would practice in front of the mirror, trying to perfect my accent. And if I made a mistake, I'd feel embarrassed and discouraged. But over time, I realized something powerful. People don't care if I don't speak like a native. They care about whether I'm trying. They care about my effort to connect with them. And that's something I will never stop doing. There was this one moment that really changed how I looked at language. I was at a cafe trying to speak in the language I was learning, and I made a pretty big mistake. The person I was talking to laughed, but not in a mean way, in a kind, understanding way. They said, "It's okay. I totally understood what you meant. And I think it's amazing that you're speaking my language." That experience really shifted my perspective. I realized that language isn't about being perfect. It's about communicating, trying, and connecting. So whenever I make mistakes now, I don't feel embarrassed anymore. I just keep going because I know I'm learning, and that's what matters. So why am I here talking to you about all of this? Why should you listen to me when I say that you don't need to speak like a native? Well, I want to be your guide, your supporter, and your partner on this journey. If you feel nervous or unsure about your language skills, you're not alone. I've been there and I know what it feels like. But I also know that you don't need to go through it alone. I'm here for you. Throughout this podcast, I'm going to walk you through these steps so you don't feel the struggle alone. Whatever you feel, my goal is to help you feel confident in your ability to communicate, no matter where you are in your learning process. If you're just starting out or if you've been learning for a while and still feel insecure about speaking, I'm here to tell you that you're doing amazing. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak is progress, and that progress will lead you to even more success in the future. You might be wondering, but what if I make a mistake? What if I say the wrong thing? I'm here to tell you it's okay. Mistakes are not failures. They're lessons. And every time you make a mistake, you're one step closer to fluency. I will be right here cheering you on every time you try, every time you speak, and every time you learn something new. You don't have to be perfect to be understood. And I'm always here to help you along the way. Okay. Now, I want to give you a few practical tips that I believe will help you feel more confident when speaking your target language. These tips are easy to incorporate into your daily life, and I think you'll find them really helpful. 1, focus on clarity, not perfection. You don't worry about sounding perfect, just focus on being clear. Speak slowly if you need to, and don't be afraid to pause and think about what you want to say. It's okay to take your time. 2, practice in comfortable situations. Practice speaking in environments where you feel safe. It could be with a friend, a language partner, or even by talking to yourself in the mirror. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel. 3, learn from mistakes. Don't fear them. Mistakes are part of the process, not something to avoid. If you make a mistake, don't be afraid to laugh about it. You're learning, and every mistake brings you one step closer to speaking confidently. 4, ask questions when you don't know something. It's okay to ask for help. If you don't know a word or a phrase, just ask someone. People are usually happy to help, and it's a great way to learn. 5, celebrate your wins, big or small. Every time you learn a new word or phrase, celebrate it. Those small wins are what add up to big success. 6, remember you're not alone. Finally, remember you are not alone. I am here with you, cheering you on, and you have so many resources and people to support you. Keep going and keep learning. Before we end today's episode, I just want to leave you with one last thought. Your voice is unique. The way you speak, the accent you have, the words you choose, they're all a part of who you are. And that is something beautiful. No one else can speak exactly like you, and that's a gift. Your voice is powerful and it matters. Whether you speak perfectly like a native or whether you have an accent, your voice is worthy of being heard. So don't hide it. Don't silence yourself because you're afraid of not sounding like someone else. Speak with confidence, speak with pride, and know that no matter how you speak, you're making an impact. Thank you for joining me today on Fun English Channel. I hope this conversation has helped you feel a little less worried about speaking like a native and a little more confident in your journey to communicate. Remember, you don't have to speak perfectly semestically. You just have to speak, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot, and it helps me create more great content for you. See you next video.